Video games are a significant aspect in the lives of people of all ages. Miller and Summers explain that nearly 80% of children regularly play video games, and children between the ages of 2 and 17 play video games an average of 7 hours a week. Since video games are so popular, it is important to understand the ways in which female and male video game characters are represented. In this video, I will examine the differences between female and male characters' image and role within the video game. It is important to understand both female and male character depictions because Miller and Summers explain that 88% of males are gamers and 67% of females are gamers. Video games have traditionally been male-dominated, but in more recent years, females have become more involved in the video game community. With the emergence of more female gamers, it is important to understand the ways in which video game characters are depicted. In this video, I will be examining female video game characters, male video game characters, and the combination character depictions within video games. First, I will begin by looking at how female video game characters are depicted within video games. The main thing to understand about female video game characters is that they are underrepresented within video games. Next, it is important to think about the character representations as being hyper-feminine. Dill and Thrill explain that hyper-femininity is an amplification of female stereotypes with an emphasis on dependence, submissiveness, and sexuality as the basis of women's value. In this video, I will examine how female characters are represented in video games by looking at Super Mario Odyssey, Grand Theft Auto 5, and an image of a Google search of female video game characters. One way that women are depicted in Super Mario Odyssey is as visions of beauty. If you look at Peach, she is pretty and wearing a fancy dress. In saying that, video games often depict women as more attractive than men, which is true in Super Mario Odyssey. Peach is more attractive than Mario. Another way that females are depicted in video games is as damsels in distress. In Super Mario Odyssey, Peach is captured by Bowser and needs to be saved by Mario. When video games depict men as the heroes and women as the victims who need to be saved, it is almost like saying that women are unable to be the hero and they cannot take care of themselves. Next, I would like to look at depictions of female characters as being more sexualized, more attractive for the male audience, and dressing more scantily than males. Females are often portrayed in a sexy role or as a sex object. These characters are often wearing less clothing, smaller tops, and accentuating their sexuality. Women are also depicted as objects of sexual desire, which is evident in Grand Theft Auto 5. As you can see in this video, it depicts women working in a strip club where men go to pay money to be sexually entertained by women. Dill and Thrill explain that one female character in Grand Theft Auto Vice City is a porn star named Candy Sex, and when she is hit by a male character, she was programmed to say, "I like it rough." In this style of video game, women are depicted as sexual objects rather than individuals who are worthy of respect. Lastly, I would like to look at an image of the results of a Google search for female video game characters. As you can tell by this image, it is evident that female video game characters show depictions of hypersexuality and an idealistic, unattainable body image. The majority of the images show women with large breasts, wearing small amounts of clothing, showing a lot of skin, and having very small hips. There are a few exceptions within these images, but the majority of them depict women as sexualized and pleasing to the eye. Dill and Thrill determined that only 10% of main characters are female. Although there are very few main characters compared to males, when women are in video games, they are depicted as sexualized. Females are depicted as scantily clad, large-breasted, and sex objects, but can also be represented as damsels in distress and visions of beauty, but they are ultimately underrepresented within video games. Next, I will be looking at how male characters are depicted within video games. Male characters are depicted as hypermasculine. Dill and Thrill explain that hypermasculinity is the exaggeration of macho characteristics, specifically hardened sexual attitudes towards romantic partners, a desire for action and danger, and the acceptance of physical violence as part of male nature. I will examine how male characters are depicted in video games by looking at Grand Theft Auto 5 and a Google search of male characters in video games. In Grand Theft Auto 5, males are depicted as being extremely aggressive, masculine, and dominant. The main characters are often depicted in thrilling situations where they are using weapons or engaging in violence. They are represented as being vulgar, especially to women. They are not emotional, but are instead depicted as having a desensitized attitude towards relationships with women. In Grand Theft Auto, male characters are depicted as violent thugs and action seekers who do not care about how other people perceive them or act towards them. Next, I want to look at this image of the results of a Google search for male video game characters. Males are depicted as having exaggerated arm and chest muscles, extremely masculine facial features such as facial hair, and facial expressions of power and dominance. Males are depicted as more muscular and powerful than women. Harrison et al. Explained that male game players, on average, encounter characters that have chest sizes that are 6% larger than the average male, and waist and hips that are 14% and 16% larger than the average male, respectively. These depictions of the male character's body represent a body image that is attainable for real males. Male characters are represented as aggressive and dominant and are muscular, powerful, and hypermasculine within video games. Lastly, I would like to talk about combination characters that include a combination of stereotypical and counter-stereotypical attributes within a single character in video games. I will be discussing 2 examples of combination characters. First, I will look at Lara Croft from Tomb Raider and then Link from Zelda. When watching this clip of Tomb Raider, it is evident that Lara Croft is the main character of this video game. She is represented as having a male character role, who is the hero. Nier explains that even though she is the hero, she still has oversized breasts and an unusually thin build like a Barbie doll, rather than the muscular physique that main male characters would have. This demonstrates the idea that Lara Croft contains aspects of both male and female characteristics. Contrary to the idea I just discussed, Link is a male character who has the physical appearance of a female character. Link has a thin build, more related to a female. Link does not have the normal masculine physical appearance with larger muscles that male characters usually have, although his role is still related to a male's role. This demonstrates that the combination of male stereotypes and counter-stereotypes within a single character exists. These 2 examples demonstrate the idea that some characters in video games combine both feminine and masculine attributes within a single video game character. Through my research and examination of examples, it is evident that both male and female characters in video games are portrayed in a stereotypical way. Men are most often the ones in power with exaggerated muscular build and a desire for action and danger. An interesting point that Dill and Thrill determined is that less than 17% of males in video games are neither hypermasculine nor aggressive. Women are most often depicted as either objects of sexual desire with enlarged breasts and other features, or damsels in distress and objects of beauty. Although these specific distinctions exist, there are a few instances where characters contain aspects of stereotypes and counter-stereotypes. These characters are the beginning of change, but since video game audiences are primarily men, the video game producers feel little pressure to change the stereotypical representations of male and female video game characters. Thank you for watching my video.